morning. How we doing? Come on, yeah. Good stuff. Well, man, I'm glad you're here. I want you to do a huge favor for me and welcome all those who are joining us online right now and those in our additional seating spaces. Come on, can we welcome them all in together? Love technology, but it's always better in the room. So, man, we are in a series called Family Matters, and we kicked it off last week. Hopefully you enjoyed that and dug in, and we've been talking to you about this Sunday. We wanted to get very practical with you, and so we thought the most practical thing we could do was to do a reality television show right before your eyes. And let them duke it out right here on the stage. And so this is pretty unrehearsed. We have had your questions. We have spent some time. In the middle of your questions, it turned into an argument about who was going to say what, and who got to sit in the middle, and who was this and that. I mean, it was a big deal. It was a big deal, I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, we want to get practical with you. And it's been our honor and privilege for the last 19 years now to lead this church, not just as myself and Nicole and I, but as a family. We started meeting in our living room, and when we did that, these guys' rooms were the nurseries and the kids' rooms and all the things, and so they've had a part of this literally from the beginning, and it's our privilege to pastor you and to serve you, not just as an individual or as us as a couple, but we really have done this as a family, and so we want to kind of share what God has given to us. We are not a perfect family. We do not have this all figured out. We are all jacked up, and you're probably going to see that on full display like never before. I hope you'll come back next week as they are uncensored, and we took their shot collars off today. No, I'm just kidding. But so we're going to let them share what they want to share, and it's going to be, I think, an enjoyable time. But if you don't know everybody, you know me, you obviously know Nicole. She could be called Nikki at some point in time today. That's her sassy name they give her. All right, this is our oldest, Adriana. We call her Nana because a little boy that was her boyfriend in preschool called her Nana or whatever it was. I couldn't pronounce her name. Obviously, we all know Levi serves our middle school ministry. And then the favorite child of all, who did not have her face and cheeks inflated on purpose for today, but she had her wisdom teeth out on Thursday. And so that is, I said, Lydia, people pay big money to get their cheeks to look like that, all right? It's called a cheek lift or whatever. So congratulations, we're glad that you're here. All right. So we're going to start right out of the gates. You gave us questions. We're going to answer them and wrap them all in. Are you ready? The first question that they asked you is about conflict and healthy arguments, all right? I think every family in the room can connect with this. Anybody with me? How many people have had a conflict in your family at some point in time? Raise your hand. If you don't have your hand raised, you're a liar, all right? I've been to your house, okay? But we have 3 growing kids now. They're all adults in a very loosely used word, and we have 2 careers. We have had conflict in our house. So, how do we resolve conflict, Mr. Trexler, at our house? And when disagreements come up, what does that look like for us?
We handle conflicts in different ways, all of us do. But one thing that we've always came down to is, we don't go to sleep on our anger. And my grandpa said it best. When I was young, he told me one time, he was like, son, it's better to eat crow when it's hot because it tastes more like chicken. And so, sometimes, when you're wrong.
He was a man of few words, but he had good words.
When you're wrong, you got to say it wrong. But another thing that, we've realized, especially, us as kids, I wouldn't say, when I was arguing with my parents, my goal was not to demean my parents. But, when I argued with my sisters, there were times when I would bring up something that I didn't like about them. And it was demeaning, and it had nothing to play into the argument. It was just a way that I could nag at her to make her feel lower than what she was. And so arguments aren't meant to tear the other person down. It's really us versus the issue. I never really argued with Lydia. Lydia's perfect, but me and Nana, we had our fair share of arguments. And yeah.
We can give it to Lydia because she's the center of all the arguments.
Yeah,
So,
honestly, I don't argue with them that much. Me and my sister argued a little bit as I got older because sharing clothes, I wanted to be like her and always wanted to be around her, but usually I don't argue with Levi. But whenever we argued, I feel like recently we kind of, either one of us, usually I just let her kind of come at me sometimes and just sit and listen, honestly. That's what happened the last time.
she just says different than first hour. Yeah, this is actually fun. All right, this is more real.
But
Hey,
at the end of the
your
day-
family, your in-laws were in here first hour. We're just telling them really how it is now. All right.
But at the end of the day, I usually am not in the wrong, so usually my sister will text and apologize. So, pass it.
I feel like I need to defend myself now. No, there is a big age gap between all of us. I'm 5 years older than Levi and 6, almost 7.
Are you saying there's a maturing difference here? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes, I am more a motherly type, and so that's where my arguments come in, and I think that, but if something was to ever happen to them, I'm the first one to fight for them, so I'll give them that. But I think something that we touch on a little bit is not falling asleep with our anger and just falling on the sword, because honestly, the relationship is more important to me than the argument and hurting their feelings. So I value that relationship more than I value the argument.
So Nicole, what do you think? We talked a little bit about this the other day. What makes an argument healthy versus one that does damage? I don't know why the church people wanted you to answer that, but go ahead.
Well, I would say that all of us kind of know the buttons to press on each person, like just to get under their skin. And so that's not healthy arguing, though. I feel like digging at them, trying to push their buttons, like that never helped. And especially like you and I early on in our marriage, our healthy arguments were when we were
Making up.
Started to turn PG-13.
when we looked at the heart of the
You
issue.
all right?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yes.
We're having fun now.
Yes.
Keep going. Go. You're doing great. I'll be quiet.
But early on, we knew the things that were going to cause damage that we could say to each other to kind of get our point across. But really, that proved to not do us any good, because then at the end of the day, you're just kind of feeling bad about yourself. And so I think probably at least 5 years into the marriage, we kind of switched our mindset as like, he's my person. And yes, it's okay to argue and fight and, or not fight really, but kind of speak our mind. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say anything or do anything that would cause, harm along the way. So fighting, arguing in a healthy manner, I'd say.
Yeah, because I think some people think like, well, we can't have conflict. Like conflict's bad because we live in this anti-conflict world. But we would say conflict isn't the enemy of a healthy family. Silence is and contempt is. Like we're not gonna push it under the rug. And here's the great part: the older we've gotten, because we've committed to Ephesians 4:26 and 27, where it says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger." So the older we've gotten, well, we want to go to bed sooner. Can I get a witness? Like you're too tired to have this argument, and if you're committed to that passage, because literally everything you're hearing them say is built on the Word of God. Like that's got to be the foundational piece of your family and of your marriage, and as you start to build that. So Ephesians 4:26, 27, I'm just going to quote, it should be on the screen. Be angry and do not what? Sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. Don't let it go down, don't let it rest. Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So often, like when we're arguing, it's like, it's the soft answer when it comes across. Like, to be honest with you, like the way we parented these three, completely different. These two needed to be yelled at. Soft answers did not work. This one, like if you looked at her wrong, her bottom lip will begin to quiver. Nicholas, like, she's so sensitive. She's soft. Look at her, she's already getting worked up. All right, so, Or James 1:19, you got to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Man, I wish somebody would have given us James 1:19 early on. The book of James is packed full of great family and marriage and dating tips, just to be honest. And if we would have lived out that verse, if we would just have been quick to listen to what the other person was actually saying. But so often we want to speak first, amen? Anybody with me? Like you want to go after, you want to get your word in, because that's what we do in our culture. You do it with the keyboard now. We're going to get our word in there. I'm going to tell them how I feel. Well, nobody cares that much. And if we would just listen and then speak and get slow to, the slow to anger part becomes a natural piece. Is that good? Yep. Anything else you guys want to add? Good. All right. The next question for us was, what does faith look like in our house? We're not talking about on a Sunday morning when we're in this house and everything looks good, but on a Tuesday night in the middle of a hard season, what does faith look like?
Well, I don't live at home anymore, but
Well,
I
kinda.
kind of live 2 minutes down the road, so I come over a lot for free dinners, and I feel like I'm in college still. But when I come like on Fridays and I drop Ren off, I see my dad in his space in his area. Like one time I said good morning, and he was like, not talking to me back. That's because I knew I shouldn't have interrupted a time, because he was sitting in the Word of God, and that's his sacred time. He has a room. Since I've moved out, Lydia moved into my room. He has Lydia's old room. That's become his place.
But I'm getting
You're
a new
getting
room.
Levi's
I'm
room
getting a new
next.
room this week.
Saturday at 5:30, that room becomes his. Just to see, like, I knew that was a sacred place for my dad specifically, but my mom's looked different. Like, my mom's was sometimes in the evening. Hers is, or when she's walking on the trail or different things like that. That's when she has her time with God. And so I tried to incorporate that also into my home with my daughter, and I want her to understand, like, when mommy's reading the Bible, like, this is my time. We don't interrupt. Wyatt and I do a really good job of having our space and our time to do that. And so just we want to set an example for her. But also we have those times with her that we read the Bible and stuff as well.
I'll piggyback everything she just said, but I wanted to add one thing. For me, I'm a young pastor. It's really, really easy to get in the mode of being, okay, I'm going to study the Bible because I want to write a really good message. And I want this to be so good. But then I started to realize my dad has a boundary, and he models it really, really well to me of, hey, this time is not for me to write a really great message so everyone else can be impacted by it, but it's for me and God, and my relationship's gonna get better so I can become a better man, a better husband, and a better dad. And the first two are ones I'm gonna get to check off. 6 days, and I get married.
Right, stay focused. All right, stay focused.
Not a dad.
Not a dad.
No,
Not a dad. Oh, praise God.
But he modeled it really, really well. Really,
Let's
really
pray.
well to me on what it looks like to be a man. And I really started picking up on that like the last 2 years of my life of like, okay, this time is mine. This is nobody's time. I leave my phone away. I light some incense, and I read my Bible, and I pray.
I'm just going to go ahead and give it to your sister, because we're going to get some good wisdom here. I want you to talk about it. What does faith look like in a season of doubt? Like you've shared that at home, you've shared that with me, or even maybe what we've talked about, a season of silence or waiting.
Yeah, so the last year I went through 2 knee injuries, and it was a lot of doubting God, like, why me, God? Why put me through this? And honestly, I wasn't getting into his word, and I wasn't really listening, and I had a lot of doubt with God. And I think my parents, they both talked to me a lot about it, that I need to just continue to put my trust in him. And I think we can always say, like, oh, I trust him, I don't have any doubts, but like, are we actually getting into his word and sitting in silence? And I think there was a message about sometimes in the silence, that's where he's working. And I think for me, it was where I was finding my identity. And when that was all stripped away from me, I was like, oh, I wasn't finding my identity in God. I was finding it in sports and things that weren't lasting. So I think in a season of doubt, it was okay to sit in the silence, and then that I just had to continue to get in his word.
So you hear that? Like not all perfect. Not all perfect. And some of you right now are in a season of doubt. I just feel like the Lord's telling me this in this moment. Somebody in this room, you're dealing with doubt. Like, God, where are you at in this game? God, where are you at in my life? And I think the words of a 16, 17, 18-year-old, when those moments happen in time, to say, you know what, I did doubt God, and I was mad, and why me? Where did that come from? And so how did we deal with that faith? Well, there was a statement of like, hey, we're going to get in our word, and he is true to that word. And but I just want you to hear that. Like it's not always like, oh, it's all these bed of roses, all these flowers. Like, oh, like this Shekinah glory is over their house all the time. But like we've just made a commitment, really the words of Joshua 24:15, for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. So you got to predetermine that, so when those seasons of doubt and those seasons of silence and those seasons of waiting come, you've already decided. Anybody with me this morning? Yes. Somebody say pre-decide. Because that's what you need to do. You're going to say, okay, I know who God is. I'm going to pre-decide that he's going to be faithful. And for us, it goes all the way back to, man, like when we had some more seasoned ladies and Miss Judy and my mom and some other ladies that were leading our children's ministry, and we used a different curriculum that really, they used that passage in Deuteronomy. It says that when you sit, when you walk, when you lie down, and when you rise, share with them. You're putting faith on their heart when you do that. And so if there's a parent in the room, a young parent, it doesn't have to be this fancy thing. It's a lot of times it's just walking it's just walking through life in those moments in time. So we have a parenting question for you.
Oh, okay.
All right. How do you balance grace and discipline? And I think most parents in the room right now, or future parents, or have been parents, or had parents, feel like they're constantly overcorrecting one way or the other. And so how do you balance grace and discipline, Nicole?
I think in the early years when they were younger, it was kind of like we were like the cop per se, like discipline. There was like core things that our family had as values that we were just gonna not waver on them. And so there wasn't a lot of grace in those things. If you lie, there is a consequence. If you cheat, consequence. I mean, there was things that we couldn't show a lot of grace on. But it was nice as they got older, we could kind of change from that role of, being that hardcore person at times to coaching them and like being more of a friend with them. And so there hasn't been as much of that discipline part. And so I think that, there were times where we had to be like firm on things, but there was also times where it was like, you did this, you stayed up too late, you were supposed to not be on your video games or whatever.
Wonder who we're talking about there.
Yeah. Bending the rules, that we were able to show them grace on it. So I just think that there's a lot of balance on that. And sometimes Matthew and I, our parenting styles, they're very much the same, but our personalities and the way that we deal with things are very different. So I feel like we were able to balance each other, and we didn't always have it right. But one thing I will say is that we always had it right together. A lot of times, I would, maybe be too hard on the kids or vice versa, and we'd have a conversation on the side that they didn't even know about. Hey, we should have done it like this. But when it came down to parenting the three of them, we were always unified, I would say, on that.
It's really the two of them,
yeah.
and the third one just was perfection.
It's pretty
It's
great.
because she was never yelled at.
That's true.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is the question for you that they followed it up with.
Yeah.
Did you feel like there was balance between grace and discipline?
Yes. My mom, for me, was the graceful one, and my dad was more of the disciplinary one.
Mine's the opposite, to be quite frank with you. What do you always say about grace?
That when I get to heaven, I want the Lord to say to me, you were too gracious versus you weren't gracious enough.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a lot of people that there's no grace, there's no grace, there's no grace.
Yeah.
It's one of what I call the 3 Gs.
Yeah. And so, like, when I messed up or I lied, like, was I going to get in trouble? Yes.
Or you and your boys are playing Fortnite late at night, and we're supposed
But I knew, though, that
he interrupted
because
me
he
there,
gives me,
didn't
because he disciplined me, looking back, I'm like, okay, he loved me because he was just trying to recorrect me. And I think that was the most important thing is like, I had to understand my parents' heart wasn't to hurt me or to make me feel mad at them or sad, but it was just to get me right on this track. That's right. And so they showed me a ton of grace, so I probably should have gotten in trouble more.
We did steal our minivan. When he was 13, right, Lydia?
Yep, he would go over the summer, he would drive over to the gas station, leave his phone at home, and he would bring us back some Polar Pops.
What was the what part?
Some Polar Pops.
Polar Pops.
Some soda.
Were you buying the Polar Pops?
Probably.
So
I probably sent them.
finally, one day I realized our minivan that we didn't drive had been moved. And I was like, what
Some
who
tire
moved the van?
marks in the grass.
Do what?
Some tire marks in the grass.
Yeah, the tire mark. Him and his buddy were racing our minivan around the outside of our property through the farmer's field
With doors open.
with the doors open like they were at Bike Week in Daytona. Like it's like going down Myrtle Beach. Like what are you doing? Like, and the kid's mom was our insurance agent. It was like, what's happening? Like, go ahead, Lydia. Grace and discipline. You didn't
I
have
don't
a lot
really
of.
know anything about the discipline part because I never got in trouble, but they're very gracious, I guess. But
Obviously, Hebrews says, "For the Lord disciplines the one He loves." And so I think we live in a culture of, we can't discipline them. No, you discipline because you love them. For those who have been trained by it, by discipline, there's a training that comes with it. Proverbs 13:24. My dad he lived by this verse. I think whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. My dad didn't have a rod; he had a belt. All right, so. And man, he could get that thing off in one swoop. It was like, one of the first verses, my mom's actually in this service, and we won't joke like I did last week about her, but I will buy her lunch or something to pay her for that. But Ephesians 6:1 was a verse that I had to memorize. It says, children, obey your parents, for this is what is right in the Lord. And so my parents had me memorize that verse. I thought, well, that's great. But I was a smart aleck, and so I read farther along to verse 4 of Ephesians 6. It says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord. Now, I stopped at exasperate. So my dad would be correcting me, and I'd be like, don't exasperate me, Dad. So, needless to say, Levi got it naturally. Question for you.
Okay.
Clock is ticking. What would you do different as a parent?
That's a good one. I think looking back, I would have pressed pause a little bit, focus more on spending time with them intentionally. When we parented our kids, we kept them very, very busy, and I don't have regrets for that because it did keep them out of a lot of trouble. But what I would have done different is I would have tied some more life lessons in all the travels and things that we were doing. I would have let things go that didn't really matter, and I would have said no to some things. Early on, I said yes to everything. New in ministry, wanting to, do everything absolutely right and working a full-time job. I just would have slowed down and been more present with them.
Yeah. I think we're at a season now, what we're calling our second half. Our first half is about to come to an end. They're all going to be out of our house and on their own. And we've had an incredible first half of life, like of marriage, ministry, family, kids, whatever. It's been great. But we're talking about as you start looking, anybody looking at this right now, thinking about what's the second half going to look like? You're kind of looking at each other like, man, do we like each other still? Like seriously, that comes up. And you've got to have some of these things. And so we're not looking at it from a place where the enemy wants to shame you for maybe where you've missed it or what you could have done differently. But I hold on to Philippians 3 that says, forgetting what lies behind, I press on. So what can I learn from the past? What can we put in? And that's why we're having this conversation today with you, is because we get a lot of calls. Hey, can you go out to dinner with us and tell us what about your marriage, tell us about how to raise our kids, all the different things. So we thought instead of me gaining another 40 pounds, as like, hey, how can we just do it and let these guys speak into it as well? But I think for me, I'm going to share them here in a second, but it really comes down to less technology and less sports and less extracurricular activities. and kept them in the house a little bit more for that. Which leads us to our next question, back to the you three Rough Riders over here. Or actually, no, we'll lean this to your mom, because she's just, yeah. We're going to talk about teenagers for a minute.
Okay.
Had some
Okay.
parents ask a lot of questions about teenagers, and here's the question. How much freedom do you think we should actually give our teens? And where's the line between trust and protection?
Yeah.
Anybody want to stand up to ask this question? No, don't do that. I'm just kidding.
You know, I feel like we were able to give our kids quite a bit of freedom, but it didn't come with like, you have all this freedom. So they always knew they had freedom, but we were quick to pull it back. And there was lots of times with two of ours that we had to pull it back.
We're not naming who.
But it felt great when we could release and give them more freedom. So I just think it kind of depends on the child too. You know, I feel like in the early days, Levi gets a hard time, but like we had to keep our finger on him a lot. But I have no regrets on that, because as he got older, it's like, oh, it's kind of nice to like release that, and he's ready for the world now, I think.
So here's a follow-up then to that question that your mom just answered. I'm kind of like the moderator here.
Yes.
We've done this a lot in life, haven't we? No, I'm just kidding. Do you feel like you had enough freedom growing up? Did you have too much? Or would you have wanted something to have been done different for you?
I thought it was just right. I got to do what I wanted to do. I really didn't. My problem was I was just mouthy, but I wonder where I get that from. So I got to go and do, I was either in a gym at home or I was here. So like, I didn't really give my parents a big reason to not give me freedom.
Well, we've heard some stories. Next person. All right,
Those
praise
stay
God.
those
All right.
stay away.
Too much freedom.
I had a lot of freedom, but I also had really good friends. I do think I think my friend group, I think I had some great friends. We all loved God. Like, we loved the Lord a lot, but like, we just wanted to hang out. We'd have fun. Like, we'd wrestle each other. We'd go play basketball. Like,
You guys
Yeah,
like
I
had.
will say that.
but we had a lot,
Oh,
like, I had
Nikki's
great
talking.
friends.
No, your mom's talking. Hey, go ahead.
I will say one thing that we did get right is when the kids were little, we cultivated their friendships. And I mean, all three of them have had wonderful friends, and you know, then you get to know the parents. And so I felt comfortable with who they were with. Agreed?
Well, since most of them come to our church, yeah. Just kidding. There was some illegal activity along the way, but you know, it's okay. I mean, who when you were young was mischievous? Can I get a witness?
Yeah.
All right. A lot of us were. And there's somebody back here with gray hair. You're not raising your hand. I know you were. You're mischievous at 60, all right? So I see you. I'm looking at, I'm just kidding. We've all been there, right? A little bit. And so I think that's healthy, but that's just me personally. So he gets a bad rap, but man, one of the greatest TPers in the entire universe. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I've seen some of their work. They were incredible, all right? And I would drive by and look at it and be like, man, they did so much better than I did. They were buying heavy ply toilet paper during COVID, though, and it was like, bro, that's worth money. Yes, golden child.
I felt like I had the perfect amount of freedom, but honestly, I would just hang out at home with you guys. Or be at my sister's house. I really would be in bed by 9:30.
Lydia's a homebody.
So.
She likes to go to bed early. Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. These are some good ones on social media and phones. And a lot of parents' minds right now about this whole deal. And how do you deal with social media and phones in the teenage years? And what did that look like in our house?
Yeah, I think that probably out of the two of us, I was the stronger parent on that front. Definitely, I used the cell phones as leverage for like discipline. Definitely, you guys demonstrate what I did. Yep. Phones. Yep. But that talked to them. I mean, I got their attention real quick when I took away their cell phones. Also, you know, I think it's like we're scared as parents to set these boundaries, like we're gonna, upset our kids. But it's okay to say you can't have your phone in your room at bedtime. There's nothing that they need it for. So like phones at my house, they were put up by 10 o'clock, and so they didn't get to be on their phones all night. Passwords to their phones. We pay for their cell phones, so we knew all their passwords. It wasn't like we were constantly like on their phone checking to see what they're texting, but they also knew that mom and dad have access to it and can pick up their phone anytime and look at it. And so I think it's okay to have boundaries. There were certain apps that we just were like, you know what, for this season of life, you can't have it. And one of them, actually, this summer, Lydia said, "Oh, I'm an adult. I'm allowed to have it now if I want." And so, I think it's okay to set those boundaries and use it.
So the mediator is going back to this side
Yes.
of the equation. Do you think your parents got that right? Were they too strict? Were they too loose? Or was it just about right?
No, I do think that one was right, especially now, like, I have a child of my own, and kids her age, and she's 2, are carrying around iPads and things like that and technology, and I just want to guard her heart and her eyes as much as I can. And so taking those things, I didn't have any of technology like that when I was little. So
You didn't have no Snapchat going on.
no, but just guarding her heart and her eyes and things like that, I think those are going to be in place for me as well.
What do we call Snapchat?
We don't need to repeat it.
We don't need to repeat it.
Okay.
I think I probably got a phone a little bit too young. I mean, I think that's fair to say. Just too young. I was on the bus. I mean, like second grade, and I had my phone. And so it's like, had a phone too young, probably wasn't good, didn't need it. And I became addicted to it. And I became fat, and then I became addicted to Fortnite, and then I became even more fat.
You became fat.
I was chubby. I was pretty chubby. And so, I really don't think phones are needed, to be honest with you.
Now he's talking like a youth pastor.
I don't like 'em.
Here we go.
I don't like
become a youth
phones.
pastor
They're not
right
very good. They're not my favorite, but that's my opinion.
Our
So,
house, we have what kind of zone?
no phone zone.
We have a
Like,
no phone zone
phones.
at the dining room table
Just
now.
like hang up and hang out. Like
Yeah.
some of these people in here that you're sitting next to, these are the people that are gonna be your best friends for life. Get to know them more. Get to meet new people. Put your phone down.
You know,
Please. Sorry.
You in agree? Oh, we're getting a clap for Levi. Wow. You good? Well, Philippians 4:8 obviously says, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, think about these things. So we have to provide a practical filter for our kids and our young people to help them do that. And when we put this weapon in their hands that the culture is using against them, Psalms 101 verse 3 says, I will not set before my eyes anything worthless. Man, this is kind of worthless at a lot of times, amen? Yeah. And let's just be honest, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. That's 1 Corinthians 10:23. There's a lot of things that are legal, but doesn't mean they're good, all right? So, dating age, because we're about out of time. Dating age, here we go. Ren is
My
not
child
dating.
will not date.
Oh, okay, here we go. Wants to hear the answer. What age do you think this could be dangerous? Because your soon-to-be wife was 14, all right? So be very careful, and her parents are in the service. What age, Mr. Trexler, do you think people should be allowed to start dating?
Okay, I don't think so. No offense, but I think if you're at
You
some
can't
of my middle
answer this
schoolers are
question.
gonna hate me. But you're not like if you're in middle school, you're not really dating. You have really good friends, and you've cultivated really good friendships, and that's okay. Friendships are great, but you're not really dating. I don't think. I think the second it becomes dating is when one person can drive, one person can pay for a date, and
Or
you have a
their
job.
parents.
You like. I started. Me and Ayla dated, but I had my license, and so I don't think it was like that bad. But
He's
when mommy and
justifying
daddy
now.
has to drop you off on a date,
Let's go to your sister.
Coming from, they had boyfriends or girlfriends all throughout high school, and I honestly didn't, but that was kind of, my parents kind of guided me to wait till college. But I feel like if you can't be content with being single and you're actively searching for a relationship, then you shouldn't be in one, honestly, because that's not something that's going to fulfill your heart. So.
She's taking your job.
Wow. It's a little bit like Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 7. Levi's used this here often lately. He says, do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. And there's a lot of times we're allowing our students and our young people, I don't know if you want to add anything to this, but 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, when I was a child, I acted like a child, but when I became a man, I gave up childish ways. Come on. And there's still some of us struggling to do that. Age doesn't do that for you. That's not an automatic answer to that. At some point in time, you have to spiritually mature in that process. And so our time's about gone. I don't think he wasn't able to make it back this service. So we call this group right here the OGs, the originals, and then we've added some people to our family over the years. And so Wyatt is Adriana's husband. He's actually a deputy sheriff in our community, and he's working today. And so he was able to sneak in first hour. He said, I'll come back if there's no action. There must be action. They must be going to the donut shop over at Pana. All right? So that was a good one. He's not here to defend himself with that stun gun thing he carries around. All right? And then come on up, Ayla. And we're adding, yeah, that's true. We're adding another piece to our family this week, actually in 6 days. So, Levi, you need to stand in the middle so you're in the light, they told me, because you were in the dark, all right? And so this is Ayla, and her parents are Carl and Kelly. They go here. And so there's a question for you. Wyatt answered it first hour, and so you get to answer it this hour. And so they get to make a decision. These three didn't have the option, right? So you had an option, and obviously we've got the privilege of being your family's pastors and growing up and watching you grow up. But knowing what you've seen of this family in this church, what actually made you somehow think in your mind that you would want to say yes to joining this mix?
I would say, in all seriousness, they are a lot of fun. It's never really a dull moment. Even after an argument, it somehow is fun. But I would say behind the scenes, they always are dedicated to the church and every single one of you. And they always are thinking about every single person, even what you don't see. It's always being prayed about. But I would say for the family, me and Wyatt said it last service, but we always feel included, never feel left out, and we just feel very loved by every single one of them. So
the thing is that we say it's our family group chat is the OGs plus 2 MG grads because they both went to Madison Grant. So it's a little bit of a joke. So for all you Argyles, we gave you a little love. Yeah, no, we're praying for something else. All right, you can sit down here, Levi, or why don't you move over? Oh, by the way, we're adding more to our family in 9 months because Adriana is going to give us another grandkid. Come on, can I get a witness? So there we go. So I was allowed to say that today. I kept the secret for a long, long time, and she was telling all these people, and she's like, well, I'm sure my dad's already told you. They're like, we don't know what you're talking about.
He told his whole staff.
I said, you're not that important. So anyways, all right. I want you to say 2 words with me, fully persuaded. Say fully persuaded. Fully persuaded. Because that literally is the ticket to the whole deal. In Romans chapter 4, verse 21, it says, Abraham fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. So I want to give you 2 very quick teaching points as we finish up our time this morning. But before I do that, can you tell them thank you? Because it's natural for me to come up here, but it took some guts for you guys to do that. All right. It's like we're on like some talk show right now. All right. But I want to give you 2 quick teaching points that are wrapped around that idea of what does it mean to be fully persuaded out of that Romans 4 passage that exists. And what we have is Abraham had all the way back to Genesis he's been given this promise that literally all the descendants of the earth are going to come out of his bloodline. Here's the problem. Abraham's an old man and Sarah is an old woman. And so Abraham had to be reminded over and over to be persuaded, and he became fully persuaded that God was going to come good on his promise. That when there's seasons of doubt, and there's seasons of silence, and there's seasons where you don't know where God's at in it, here's what you need to know. You've got to become fully persuaded. And as a family, our hope and prayer has been is that you would recognize that we have real arguments. Like we have moments that don't always look as pretty as you may want your pastor's family to look. That we're a family who's had to spend time and we've had to wrestle between grace and discipline and when do we drop the hammer and when do we not drop the hammer and what are the optics of all that. We're a family that's battled through the dating conversations and talked about that. And to be honest, more or less said at times, don't bring that person to our house because he's not good enough for you. Can I get a witness? Just to be honest, Adriana's talking to some boy back in the day. This is not her husband. And I put Nicole and her crack research staff here at the River Church on it and say, man, find out about that kid. We'll come to find out, man, he was not even a follower. His family that went to church, but not church. Like they were a different faith. And we're not talking about Baptists, all right, or Wesleyans or Methodists. It was bad. It was not good. And so we said, no, you can't date him because we ain't playing in that game. And so we've wrestled with dating. We've wrestled with phones, and we've wrestled with video games. I mean, Levi, one time, we took a video game away from him. He was in the fetal position in the backseat of the car, shaking and crying like, I can't, I'm playing my Fortnite. Lydia cried when we made her leave her room. It was like, get out of your room. Come be social with us. Like, we're fun people. Like, come do life. Like, but our hope has been is that you would have an honest look at who we are. That we're not a family that has it all figured out. There's no magic formula that you get to plug and play. We don't have a perfect record as a married couple and as parents. But we as a family have committed to be two things: fully persuaded. That God is God and he is good. So two things. Families first is this. Families are held together through faith. It's more than just one season. It's more than one moment where we kneel down and we pray. Faith is a promise that outlasts every battle that you'll ever go through. Here's what I want somebody to hear today. God is writing a story in your life right now that you can't even see. He's doing something inside of you. He's working behind the scenes and doing things that you don't even know how he's working. But I'm here to tell you, we serve a God that you can have faith and be fully persuaded today. I feel like we're supposed to impart some faith to somebody this morning. That you would understand that God is writing your story. And he's a good God. What does it mean to be fully persuaded? It's just not this, this optimistic view that we always have, but we do. We live with this. We live at our house with a glass always half full, not half empty. And when they get half empty attitudes and mindsets, we say, no. Could be worse. Could be worse. But Abraham, it didn't happen overnight. I'm sure Abraham had to have moments where he went back and said, man, God, are you really real about this, God? Are you sure? Do you know how old Sarah is? Do you know how old I am? Does this make sense? He was so fully persuaded that even after Isaac was born, he was willing, just like these parents did, to give them back. Say, God, he's yours. Whatever you want me to do. He had to grow to this place, and you got to grow there as a family. Because your faith will be what grounds you when the dry season comes. Your faith will be what holds you fast when the storms come. You can't pretend that, but you can, here it is again, pre-decide that. You can pre-decide today before you walk out of the room to say, you know what? As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we're going to have faith. I've been praying through these 21 days of prayer. I was going to be honest. I've been praying for 50 men. I believe there are 50 men in our church that need to step up and say that statement. That I'm going to die to myself. And I'm going to be fully persuaded that God wants to use me as a man of God. To lead my family, to lead my grandkids, to lead my marriage, to lead my life. But here's the deal. We don't have all the answers, but we're persuaded. And families that are held together, they do it through faith, and finally they do it through practice. It's not a feeling that you wait on. Faith and persuasion is not a feeling that you just sit here like, okay, wait till it comes, wait till it comes. No. You get that faith because you practice that faith. You work it out every single day. You put it in even when it's hard. Even when you keep showing up even after the argument. You go back. You show back up. You show back up after you've argued over the phone. You show back up after you've argued over the dating, after argued over the curfew, after whatever it is you've argued about. You keep showing up. You practice it because you show up and you obey what God's word says. When we first got married, actually had my dad build us, broke in one of our moves. He built us a little altar that sat at the end of our bed, a physical altar. For some of you, you need to build an altar in your house. Doesn't matter if you're single, doesn't matter if you're young, doesn't matter if you're married. You need to find a place to say, you know what, we're going to build an altar right here. And this house is going to be representative of that altar. We're going to find a place, and this is going to be our place. For us now, it's our dining room table. It's where we sit and have family meetings, where we sit around and we have discussions and talk about life and what is God saying to you and how is God talking to you. And we got to be intentional about it. You've got to be intentional with your kids to have conversations, which means you got to do what Nicole just said. You got to slow down and stop talking at them and talk with them. But you got to practice these things. So, Father God, I pray today that something we've said practically, spiritually, in these moments, that you've walked off the pages of your scriptures that we've shared, and that, God, you've somehow showed up and practically spoke to somebody today in new ways. I thank you for the heritage that Nicole and I both have from my parents, who taught me so much about marriage and parenting and grace and life, to Nicole's parents who put that into her. And we thank you for people like John and Kathy who came along at just the right seasons and spoke things into us. Like Mark and Sherry who spoke into us. So many that have come along. And God, I thank you for this house that is fully persuaded that what you have told us is reality. It's true because it's your word. And so, God, may we receive that word today. In your name I pray. And everybody said, here's the final thing I'll say. 2 things. Here it is. Stay with me just. I know I'm out of time. These kids of ours are the way they are because of you. Because they've had the privilege of being a part of a church family that has led with incredible faith and generosity and grace and grit. And so you should thank yourself, because there's a lot of kids that are just like them because they've been part of this family. Second thing I'll say, tomorrow morning, day 9 of 21 days of prayer. Don't want to miss it. 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning, here's what I'm going to tell you. We will have the youngest communicator we have ever had. We have a 7th grade young man who I have been told is about ready to preach his face off like never before. Levi's got him ready. And it's going to be an incredible day. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a great day. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.